At first sight, the government's informational activities may seem confused and somewhat irrational. A system that spends tens of billions of dollars annually to secure data and ads. A system that spends tens of billions of dollars annually to secure data and makes the most vital information available only to a privileged few is hardly socially efficient, much less performing according to any approximation of the rules of democratic governance. Yet, the contradiction is explainable. Simply put, the maintenance of a private corporate monopoly economy and an overseas empire necessitates the inverted informational distribution pyramid that now characterizes both governmental and non governmental communications in the United States. Herbert I. Schiller, The Mind Managers, out of print. I'd buy it. Special bonus reading. If anyone, then, is to practice deception, either on the country's enemies or on its citizens, it must be the rulers of the Commonwealth acting for its benefit. No one else may meddle with this privilege. For a private person to mislead such rulers, we shall declare to be a worse offense than for a patient to mislead his doctor, or an athlete his trainer about his bodily condition, or for a seaman to misinform his captain about the state of the ship or of the crew. So if anyone else in our commonwealth, of all that practice crafts, physicians, seers, or carpenters, is caught not telling the truth, the rulers will punish him for introducing a practice as fatal and as subversive in a state as it would be in a ship. Plato, The Republic. And now, the final bonus reading for today, Monday morning, March 11th, 2019. In the middle of all this, I was persuaded to hold a traditional family-style 4th of July party, which was somehow a stunning success, despite a savage invasion by a gang of local thugs, parolees, and degenerates who arrived around noon, with no warning, on a flock of noisy, rich-looking Harleys that jammed up the driveway and terrified the girls. But not for long. I called the police and had them all arrested for trespassing and public drunkenness. A few resisted and were beaten severely. Then my naked friend Jilly got on the tractor and crushed their motorcycles, ramming them repeatedly at high speed with a 3-ton rock crusher attached to the front of my supercharged turbojet 16-geared John Deere 770 SST Magnum twin rhino earth mover. Ed Bradley was reading the Declaration of Independence to a group of children on the front porch at the time, and he paid no attention to the nightmare of carnage and police brutality happening in the driveway. One of the hoodlums got crushed under his own knucklehead and later had to have his legs amputated. So what, I thought. I was tired of these filthy rich thugs from Planet Hollywood. They ride like old women and can't hold their liquor. They will never understand the kind of high, white, otherworldly grace that comes with whipping around a blind downhill, half-wet corner into a wall of huge eucalyptus trees at 155 miles an hour, with a Peterbilt suddenly looming out of the fog in the oncoming lane and kind of wavering out there in the long, thin beam of your headlight. Ah, but never mind that morbid, freaky kind of thinking, eh? I'm a BMW man myself, but what the hell? I gave up riding in gangs a long time ago. And anything that you can drive with one hand at night on a 2-lane road at 90 miles an hour in 4th gear is about as fast as I think I need these days. Almost any fool can crank a big bike up to 180 or so, but slowing the bastard down on a diminishing radius curve into some greasy little freeway is a whole different gig. Ah, memories, memories. How heavy and crazy they seem on a lonely Friday night when the only real action straight out in front of you is the specter of having to choose whether George Bush or Bill Clinton or Ross Perot will be more or less running your life for the next 4 or 9 or 19 years, or maybe as long as you live. That was Hunter S. Thompson, Better Than Sex. Confessions of a Political Junkie. All right. Oh, I didn't see you guys come in there. Hello and welcome to Bitcoin Talk Show. My name is Thomas Hunt. Today is Monday, March 11th, 2019. Be sure to give us a thumbs up and subscribe down below. But let's go ahead and get started on Bitcoin Talk Show. Let's see. Mouse is lost. The price of Bitcoin is down 1.38% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 3,862, a high of 3,932, and a low of $3,842. That's BitcoinSatoshi.com is broken. Oh no, BTC Satoshi.com. Goodbye, my friend. And now from 99 Bitcoins, that's $1 for 25,893 Satoshis. Keeping an eye on coin market cap, where Bitcoin being down has driven down the rest of the market, with Ethereum down 2%, Ripple down 1%, Litecoin down 3%, EOS down about 4%, Bitcoin Cash down 2%, Binance Coin up 1.5%, Tether even, Stellar, a rare green spot on the board, up 5%, and Tron down 2%, rounding out the top 10. Let's see what's going on in Bitcoin today. Bitcoin Jesus. Don't delete Coinbase. No other firm does more for crypto. What great irony to have Bitcoin Jesus of all people standing up for Coinbase. Way to go, Roger. You're wrong on Bitcoin Cash, and you're probably wrong on Coinbase. Certainly, Coinbase used to be a positive influence for Bitcoin. Let's stop calling it crypto. Cryptography has a little to do with this, but it's actually a different subject altogether. We're talking about Bitcoin. Coinbase used to do great things for Bitcoin. They used to be a website where you could send your friends and say, buy Bitcoin, and they'd come back with it. But now it's all about buy Ripple or buy Stellar or buy Bitcoin Cash or buy Ethereum or buy a basket of all of these. So Coinbase is a very different company than the one that used to help Bitcoin. And we all remember when Brian Armstrong went out there on Twitter and declared, I've got more money in Ethereum, so fuck you, Bitcoin. Well, he didn't say that, but you get the idea. Coinbase is simply not what they used to be. Neither is Bitcoin Jesus. It's amazing how times change and some things don't stay the same. Samsung Pay will integrate cryptocurrencies for 10 million users, according to report. This sounds great. Of course, they're starting out with Ethereum, but they say they're going to offer some real cryptocurrencies later, assuming that the real ones will be Bitcoin. Once again, 10 million users. All of the people who get a new Samsung S10 phone will be included a cryptocurrency wallet and a secure chip to hold your private keys, presumably secure from hackers. We'll see how that goes, and we'll see if people use them or if this is just a feature on your phone that you ignore, like the fingerprint sensor or so on and so forth. But it is a big deal. 10 million users, a good chance for everyone with a Samsung phone to try out Bitcoin. And of course, just like everything else, why not try 10 other random cryptocurrencies while you're trying the real one? Breaking news, Mark Zuckerberg discovers privacy. That's right, in a major speech and a major blog post on the Facebook owner's blog, he says, wow, privacy is a great idea. Imagine if all of our communications and our photos were encrypted and only our friends had keys to the encryption, and Facebook didn't have any of the keys and couldn't see what we're talking about. They wouldn't have to censor any of our photos, they wouldn't have to censor any of our words, and they wouldn't be able to sell our data to advertisers. It would completely break their model. But once again, we're doing everything backwards here. Instead of building it right the first time, we're going to give all of our money to this little kid, let him build it wrong for years and years and years, and then hope that he'll suddenly change his mind and start building it right. I'll believe it when I see it. The counter article from Fortune, Mr. Zuckerberg, let us pay for Facebook with dollars, not data. And this is really the way to go. If you look at Zuckerberg, he's currently trying to transform Facebook into WhatsApp. But remember, WhatsApp is encrypted and doesn't make any money. However, if you had to pay, say, $10 a month for WhatsApp, which is a good service, probably worth $10 a month, Then suddenly they don't have to mine your data, at least if it works on a large enough scale. Unfortunately, people are historically cheap and will not donate to anything. They don't like paying for anything. And on the internet, you can always undercut people by offering a more free option. So we'll see how Zuckerberg deals with that with his various properties. Keep in mind, on the left, we have Elizabeth Warren making noise about perhaps breaking up Facebook. She's clarified her comments in the media. Mainly, she seems focused on unraveling some of the recent mergers, such as Google merging with Waze, Facebook merging with Instagram, and then WhatsApp. She would prefer these to be individual companies again, which, yes, would be a great idea if we'd done anything in the first place. I don't know how they can be untangled at this point. There was an idea years ago and a series of court cases about breaking Microsoft up into a company that made operating systems, a company that made Office or word processing type programs, and a networking company, something like that, a series of companies from Microsoft. It got very close to happening, and it might happen this time. This is, of course, why Zuckerberg has discovered privacy. He obviously doesn't care about privacy, having made all of his statements and all of his choices before, which have led us to this point. Has he suddenly changed his mind? I don't know, but $10 a month for Facebook, if it didn't scan your data for ads and if it encrypted everything, not a bad deal. He might survive. FBI nabs OneCoin ringleader at LAX as massive crypto scam unravels. They finally got her. Him. The FBI arrested OneCoin ringleader Konstantin Ignatov at Los Angeles International Airport. The government alleges he was one of several masterminds behind the multi-billion-dollar crypto pyramid scheme. So again, we laughed at OneCoin the whole time. We always said it was fake. We always said it was horrible, but we always understood and, in a way, respected the way that they spread their product through multi level marketing. OneCoin had actual marketers out there having actual meetings with actual people, strong arming them to invest $10,000 of their own hard earned money into OneCoin. It wasn't just a bunch of YouTubers or Twitter accounts saying, hey, buy Bitcoin. It's pretty cool. It was serious, organized OneCoin meetups. Chris DeRose and Junsith of the Bitcoin Uncensored podcast at the time infiltrated one of these meetups and had hidden cameras and hidden microphones and, of course, terrible sound and terrible video. But they did uncover what these meetings were like. These people were saying that OneCoin would double by November, that they were going to give you twice as many OneCoins in their Excel spreadsheet. They were going to double your investment, and they were demanding that after you gave them $10,000, that you informed and got 10 of your friends to give them $10,000. So you have to imagine how bad some of these people feel, having not only lost their 10,000, but also their friends' 10,000 and maybe more. Keep in mind, at the same meetup that Chris and Junta filmed, what they showed was this great guy was there. He said, I know it in my knower. I know it in my knower that OneCoin is going up. So that's what it's like. As it says here, the coin used a simple SQL database rather than a blockchain. OneCoin's only rival in scams in terms is BitConnect. I would say not so fast. What about Paycoin and Hashbase and all of that? Everyone forgets, but I went to the Bitcoin Miami conference years ago. It was sponsored by Paycoin, very much like OneCoin. It turned out to be a centralized coin, just taking everyone's money and paying out some of it, a Ponzi scheme. The creator of Paycoin also went to jail. The ringleader of OneCoin has been arrested, but they are still looking for Dr. Ruja. Let's see if we can get her full name. I think maybe it's Ignatova, but somewhere it is. Dr. Ruja, everyone thinks was the main leader of this. She was in front. Here it is. His sister, Ignatov's sister, Ruja Ignatova, is in fact the main promoter and owner of the scam. So they are getting closer, perhaps, to Ruja. German authorities have an active warrant and are seeking to arrest Ruja. At this point, it's clear that anyone still investing new money into OneCoin has not done any research. The scheme specifically targets idiots and people who are not intelligent. Any cursory search about OneCoin will yield warnings from central banks and numerous reports on the illegitimacy of OneCoin. Yet, just a day ago, a new video went live on YouTube promising an exchange for OneCoin. So once again, it's very sad out there. You have to imagine that if you were a scammer and you were looking at this scene and you said, "Wow, there's a thing called OneCoin and it used to be really big," you could make a series of videos and websites and fake press releases claiming that it would be on an exchange so that you could pump your bags of OneCoin. It's a very sad and easy scam, but once again, look at the video. OneCoin, 100% official news about exchange. Pretty girl, nice graphics. They're going to go far. So, keeping an eye out, we'll continue following this story, presuming that Ruja will be arrested within the next 6 to 12 months. They never get away that far, although we are still also looking for Big Vern, the founder of Cryptsy, who disappeared to China. Is he under there? Is he under there? He's not under my desk. We checked out the mainstream media looking for more stories to talk to you about, but all they want to talk about is the price, the price, the price, the price, the price, and the price, the price, the price, the price, the price. So here's the price. From CoinDesk, Omkar Godboll, a Bitcoin bull market is still $350 away. Oh, that sounds cheap. I'd buy that. Bitcoin has established a higher low near 3,300 in the last 2 months, signaling bearish exhaustion. However, a break above the Christmas Day lower high of 4,236 is needed to confirm a bearish to bullish trend change. And just to keep an eye on the hyper waivers, the hyper waivers have now changed their tune and they're now saying that Bitcoin may rise to $5,000, then fall to 3,600, then maybe fall to 1,500. But the long awaited claims of $1,000 Bitcoin, that seems to have changed. The weather is always so unpredictable. Sometimes it's sunny, sometimes it's raining. I predict that it will be sunny and it will rain. That's right, long term sunshine, short term rain clouds. Bitcoin friendly Square headlines, London stock exchanges, blockchain ETF. Oh, that's a lot of buzzwords. But it sounds like Square is going to be headlining the blockchain ETF, which Invesco and Elwood are teaming up for the UK buzzword ETF. That's right. We've got some incredible amount of buzzword databases that will make your data more secure. As they said in the press release, these are companies with buzzwords that are well positioned to capitalize on the emerging buzzword opportunities for buzzword. Over time, however, we would expect the buzzword to shift naturally to companies with more significant direct exposure to buzzwords as the technology becomes more buzzwords. All right. Bitcoin enters the sixth day of stability as analysts predicts mixed mood in Asian markets. Yes, an indigestion can often cause a mixed mood. Maybe try some bisodium carbonate. Paying for your coffee with Bitcoin at Starbucks, is it worth it? Well, first of all, you have to ask yourself, are you the kind of person that knows you can simply rebuy your Bitcoin? Let's say that you spent $50 in Bitcoin. You could instantly rebuy the $50 of Bitcoin using Bitcoin as a transactional medium, not as a hold of value, right? You wouldn't be saying, "Oh no, I spent $50 at Starbucks." You'd be saying, "Oh, I spent $50 anyway. It doesn't matter if I spent $50 in pesos or euros or Bitcoin. You're spending money." So you'd have to understand that. Maybe you need a more dimensional mind. Maybe you need to play three-dimensional chess to work at Blockonomy. Blockonomy. All right. Taking long positions in Bitcoin is comfortable. Former BOA trader. Ah, comfortable, like a long hot bath. Taking a long position in Bitcoin. Of course, I'm long-term bullish and short-term bearish. Crypto market citing bullish break. XLM, Bitcoin Cash, EOS, TRX, price analysis. Yeah, every day the same articles like a drum beat. Hey, price is up 5. Oh, it's down 10. Price is up 5. Oh, it's down 10. I just keep working on that. Dissenter.com is new by Gab. They kicked us off app stores. They kicked us off cloud hosting. They kicked us off payment processors. They kicked us off our DNS. They kicked us off our blogging platforms. So we created Dissenter. Now they can't do a damn thing to stop us or you from speaking freely. They also smeared and libeled our business, our employees, and attacked our families with doxing, swatting, and years of harassment. None of it worked. We're still here. We're still growing. And I don't think that's how checkmate is used. But great, great post from Gab. However, I saw a great comment. Yeah, here it is. It's first Pepe in space at Mike in space. Great work from a Bitcoin car. What's it called? Bitcoin car show, Bitcoin car talk, whatever it is great stuff. Car talk. And he says, I'm pulling for you guys. But seriously, you have the perfect 3-letter .com name that perfectly articulates the new product, and instead you call it Dissenter. And I agree. There's been that basically to sum it up here, Gab, which is or used to be an alternative Twitter, but it was a Twitter based on servers, so you had to be in the right server to get the conversation. So it wasn't quite as good as Twitter, where I get all the conversation, not just say the Bitcoin silo conversation or the libertarian silo conversation. I want all of the conversations mixing together, which is part of the problem with Twitter, because of course all of the conversations leads to fighting, and part of the great thing about Twitter, all of the conversations lead to fighting. So what Gab did, they created that other Twitter, and now they've created a plugin where you can quote unquote comment on a web page. Now, again, there's been hundreds of other comment on a web page platforms. Google had one. I don't remember the other names, but there's been dozens of them. They've been pop-ups and JavaScripts and plugins and all these kind of things. Now, this one has a more nasty comments on web page. I mean, free comments. Remember, freedom of speech is great. You get great documents. Freedom of the speech is terrible. You get 4chan. You get hate speech. Both of those presumably are going to be included in Dissenter. So that sounds really kind of cool and kind of unregulated. It depends how they built it, whether I think it's going to survive, or if it's just a centralized server, you can just shut it down. But I definitely agree with Mike in space. Calling it Gab would have been great. Just get rid of the old product. I don't think it was going to make it. Put all your forces, all of your arrows together, strength in numbers behind the new product. Call it Gab. Let it be Gab, a plugin where you can talk and you can say anything on the websites. And don't be all, I know their marketing, their style is all like, we are counterculture, we are fighters, we are, we are Gab, all this stuff. Throw that all to the side and just be, hey, we're a conversation, and hey, conversation's happening. And then you could use that as well as your court defense, the way that Craigslist effectively defended the horrible things that were sold on their platform, and Yahoo and Google, and then at the same time Ross Ulbricht and the pirate, not the Pirate Bay, but the Silk Road, was unable to defend their platform in the same way. Maybe because he called it the Silk Road and he called himself the Dread Pirate Roberts, and he's out there making angry speeches. Which one got more done? Craigslist lasts for years, still there. You can still sell anything you want, although I guess they've closed down a lot of the spicier sections. Or Ross, where he went up and down. So I would say to Gab, call yourself Gab, be about the conversation. But I do think this is an interesting project. I've even heard that there's dissenter comments on the World Crypto Network, or maybe on this video. So go check that out. I think it's an interesting project. If they decentralize it, if they distribute it, if they get themselves out of control, because you don't want to be in control of that kind of thing. Still super excited about Star Wars Land in Disneyland. They let the journalists go through, but they didn't let them take any pictures. So I don't know. It sounds like it's really large. It's really being built. They have a Millennium Falcon ride, where you walk around a spiral staircase, up to the top, and then you can see down on the Millennium Falcon, and then they take you into another Millennium Falcon model. That sounds great. They have a price unknown build your own lightsaber station. Sounds like the lightsabers are heavy and nice. So that might be expensive, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know. I think I have to go to Star Wars Land. So it's probably mainly for kids and stuff, but I don't know. Older adults, nerds, probably welcome as well. But we talked about that enough. One day soon, even the best coders will be outpaced by AI. We need to prepare for the inevitable future by shifting fundamentally how we think about human value. And just another shout out for Andrew Yang, yang2020.com. Turning coal miners into coders is not the answer for automation. And as we have all of these presidential candidates, there is one who's talking about the issues of the future, which is automation. Andrew Yang's solution to the automation of the truck drivers and the cashiers, which is happening very soon, is universal basic income, which he calls the freedom dividend. $1,000 a month for every American citizen. That's it. Done. Then if the country is successful, you're successful. And it's about a safety net and a floor and trying to help adjust to automation, which is going to make these companies hundreds of thousands of percent efficiency gains, presumably lower products, lower price products, and so on and so forth. But at a certain point, if there are no more jobs, who's going to buy your products? So if you give the people money, maybe they'll buy your products. I think it's an interesting campaign. Check out Andrew Yang on Joe Rogan show to learn more about that. But I just think this is a really interesting thing to talk about. And maybe when we do the call in portion, you guys can call in and tell me what you think. I know a lot of you are against basic income. You think that it's socialism, but it also seems like a dividend. Like if America, the capitalist system, is doing well and we get hundreds of thousands of efficiency percent gains on not having truck drivers and not having cashiers, which is happening, right? The truck drivers thing is a safety issue. Human driving cars are simply unsafe. The cashier thing, it's an efficiency issue, and it's also you could run a business with less costs. And if you can run a business with less cost, they will run a business with less cost. You know it, I know it, and the American people know it. um, U.S. citizens will need a visa to visit Europe starting in 2021. Bummer, man. This doesn't sound good. Sounds like basically the United States, i.e., read that as Trump administration, was not allowing visas for five of the newer and let's just say less savory EU countries. They were forcing them to have visas, so the EU turned around and forced the US to have visas. It sounds like you can still apply maybe a week or two before. You have to have a 4-day previous thing to apply. You have to apply 4 days before. So no more overnight trip to Paris. That's out. But you have to apply. You have to pay $7.50. Sounds nominal. If you get a visa, I don't know. I guess it's a security check. If you get a visa, you can then visit Europe for 3 years under the same rules of the Schengen zone of 90 days in, 90 days out. So business as usual after you get the visa. I don't know. I like it better when the world's more tightly connected and we have less barriers to travel and we can do more business, stuff like that. This seems like going the other direction, but it's a speed bump, right? I found this great article about the sharing economy being a scam. Everyone should check it out. It was on Medium. And in the end of it, in the beginning, the guy's talking about Uber and Lyft and how they used to describe it as sharing. And yeah, it's Schengen. Yeah, I don't know. I don't say it right. I always say it as I think of it as a Chinese word or something. But let's see. So we have a phone call? No, not yet. Let me get the phone call thing ready. But yeah, the sharing economy started out with Uber and Lyft, and they were sharing, and it was going to be great for everyone. And then it became more of the gig economy, and it seemed a lot more like renting than sharing. I'm not going to share you my tool, but I'll rent it to you. And a lot of that got replaced. And so I was reading the article and I was going through it and I was thinking, wow, there's going to be an article like this about blockchain someday. And they're going to say, we thought blockchain would be great for storing food. But then we realized no one was attacking our food database. So we didn't need a blockchain, at least no one at that level of technology. And we thought it'd be a great way to store all these other things. And then we didn't need it. And like the author says here, even though most people barely know what the blockchain is, a decade or so from now, it will be like the internet. We'll wonder how society ever functioned without it. And he says the ambitious promises sound very familiar. So it's a great article about the sharing economy. I've also been watching some great YouTube videos on the How Much channel. The guy wears a Bitcoin hat. He's a Bitcoin miner. I think he's out in Los Angeles. And he does these videos like, how much would you earn if you return scooters for Lime scooters? And he does it overnight. He gets $3.50 an hour. It's terrible. He says, how much would you earn driving for Uber Eats? He does it for a day. He gets less than $5 an hour. It's terrible. He does a great job with these videos, but time and time again, we see that the people actually for these working for these gig economies are the people being taken advantage of. And part of it becomes because they can't see the hidden costs. If you're driving for Lyft, you think you're making lots of money, then you pay for gasoline, hidden cost. Your tires pop because you're now driving thousands of miles on them. You need more maintenance on your car, more oil changes, things like this. These are the hidden costs that you don't think of. You go home from Lyft with a pile full of money, you think everything's great, but later on, they get you. Maybe blockchain will be the same way. I was late to the show this morning. It's because it's daylight savings time. So I woke up an hour later than I normally do because they move time around. And now as a human being, I have to reset my circadian clock and my rhythm for a complete hour. So once again, why are we doing this? This is complete nonsense. The original daylight savings program, Ben Franklin, the farmers have got to get up early, the kids out in the field. This way you could work a couple of hours on the farm before you went to school. What a great program. But wait a minute, farms are worked by giant robots now, giant harvesters driven by a single person. We don't need children out on the farms anymore. This doesn't make any sense. All we're doing is throwing off everyone's circadian rhythm, messing up everyone's sleep schedule, and we do it twice a year for no reason because it's tradition. I don't know why. This is an American thing. Some of the other countries maybe do this. This is actually historically, this idea was proposed in Germany during World War II by the Nazis as an efficiency thing. They were supposed to get more hours of daylight, less use of electricity, more hours that they could run the factory without having to run lights, things like this. It was believed to be an efficiency gain. However, by studying it, we've noticed that it doesn't gain us any efficiency. And more importantly, it actually loses us efficiency because, like I said, I'm an hour late. Everyone who has a real job, they had to wake up early, be there on time. It's a complete nightmare. Daylight savings time is bad. Let's get rid of it. I'd also like to see America on the metric system and the elimination of the penny, nickel, and dime. God bless America. Thank you for your time. As the graphic says, when I grow up, I want to be president, a little kid says. But yeah, ending daylight savings time, metric system, no more pennies, nickels, and dimes. Waste so much time of cashiers. It should just be quarters. Maybe even get rid of the quarter, get a dollar piece. Just be done with all this. But yeah, they say people in the chat. They say same reasons humans do everything. An authority said so. They also say it's a trap. And Jeff says the owners get a little more productivity out of the debt slaves. All right. Pause to drink some water. Been talking a lot here. Shout out to Mighty Mushroom in the chat. Thanks for the $2 donation. Remember, you can donate in the chat with Super Chat through YouTube, or you can donate with Bitcoin or Patreon. And it's great to support the show. And donate with those thumbs up. If we could get more thumbs up, it says there's 97 people watching right now, but there's only 19 thumbs up. I saw one of our shows, it got 100 thumbs up, and we got 1,000 viewers. So if that could happen every show, then we get more viewers and more people would learn about Bitcoin. I think it'd be great. Finally, the last of the prepared material today, I wanted to say a huge shout out to collectors with a Z.com for their movie, video game, comic book, books, and movie and music database apps. It syncs to the cloud and other devices, has a nice clean interface with lots of metadata, and a lightning fast barcode scanner that actually works. You can buy them for $15 a piece or get a bundle deal on their website. That's what I did. And it's great. I scanned in all my video games, all my books. Well, not all my books, 1/7 of my books. I've scanned in one of my shelves. But it's really fast. It's really nice. I used to have a program like this years ago for the Mac called Delicious Library, and it was great. But if you're into having a cool database of the stuff that you own and it's in your pocket, it's on your phone, my theory is the next time I'm in a store and I want to buy something and I'm not sure if I own it, this will avoid me buying a second copy. So that's pretty good. Most of the time I know what I own, but boy, it would be great to have a database to check to verify. So check that out at collectors with a Z.com, or the apps on the phone are called CLZ. So CLZ movies, stuff like that. Oh, and there's a picture. Yeah, that's just what my shelves look like. Pink Floyd records, Star Wars movies, and so many books. Oh, so many books. But this is Bitcoin Talk Show, and if you'd like to call in, you can call us now at Skype World Crypto Network, all one word. Just add us as a friend, give us a call, or at 1-518-600-1949. I'd like to hear your thoughts on the Roger Ver Bitcoin Jesus issue. Should we stop deleting Coinbase because Roger Ver says that we should stop? Other people in the chat say we should stop calling Roger Ver Bitcoin Jesus, which, of course, we did, but the media kept calling him that. So it's still kind of fun. A lot of people think he's more of a Bitcoin Judas at this point, having made his fortune on Bitcoin only to abandon it for Bcash and the false Satoshi. There was an email going around on Twitter recently of Roger, and it was Roger saying, "Oh, I think he is really Satoshi. I don't think he's a scammer." And it's like, yep, Roger, you got fooled. And later on, Roger now says, "Oh, I don't think he is Satoshi," or "I think he's a bad dude," things like that. But it's better to find out before you get fooled and not get fooled than to get fooled and realize it later. So I would work on that. I would do what the guy says in the movie Heist. Try to think of what someone smarter than you would do and then do that. That'll work out. Oh, we've got a phone call, but I can't hear it. That bodes well. Hello, caller. You might be live on the World Crypto Network today. Say hello. I can't.
Hi.
There you are. I can hear you. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Yeah, this is Corey, a Mighty Mushroom in the chat. I'm in Portland, Oregon.
All right, Corey. What's on your mind about Bitcoin today?
Oh, I'm a long time. I've been watching you since inception. So it's interesting to be on the show here. I wanted to talk about like utility and security, right? In the scope of Bitcoin and like the relationship of Bitcoin Cash and Bitcoin and the association of utility and security. And sometimes, you know, based on my reading and what I see, it's almost like Bitcoin required a utility token and Bitcoin Cash seem to be there, right? Maybe? Am I just wrong about that?
What would be a utility token? Why would Bitcoin require that?
Well, it became very difficult to use when the network became kind of overrun, when the run up started to happen. You know, transactions became very expensive in the Bitcoin network, right? And the fork that happened before all of that was, you know, the major fork was Bitcoin Cash, right?
Yeah, but at the time, if you were having trouble using Bitcoin, you could use any other token. Like we could say just as well that Dogecoin, you know, provided the utility, or Litecoin. It seemed to me like, yes, when Bitcoin was really busy, there was a spam attack going on. And the great thing about this spam attack is that one company controlled 70% of the miners. So it's kind of like you'd always get 70% of your spam attack back. So your spam attack really costs 30% instead of 100%. So you're getting like a 70% sale on spam. So you're like loading up on this spam and you're just like, I got to get more of this spam. This is awesome, 70%. And then all your investors are coming in. And on the back end of your investors, you're like, we've got this special deal on our miners. We get a 30% bump there too. So you got great deals on everything. You're killing it all over the place. But then these darn programmers, just like Scooby-Doo, right? Those kids with the dog, they want to mess up Bitcoin and make it so that your scam miners won't work and that you won't get 70% of your spam money back. So you can't keep spamming the network. It just seems to me like Bitmain had this whole thing blow up in their face, and that's Bitcoin Cash is the remnants of that. So no, I don't think we
Okay.
need a utility token. I'm open to, you can, share your ideas here. I'm open to your, visions and stuff, but
I
just the way I see
I'm
it,
not
it was different. So
no. I just threw that out there so that there could be a proper explanation.
fine with me, man. I have to try to explain something that I think I understand, but I just want to explain it's better and simpler. And because yeah, it's just why is this still going on? Why is this still happening? I think a lot of people are new; they weren't there then, and it's really hard to get information out here. We're on the opposite end of this, where like you say, if you've been watching this show forever, like we were one of the few voices out there, and now we're one of the many voices out there. So things have changed, and you can trust who you want, and you can get the price, and they got triangles and stuff. And there's all kinds of other YouTubers that are fast and quick. And, I made 30% on this and I made a millionaire on this. And, you can watch the videos you want, and people are drawn to what they're drawn to. Right.
Yeah, I mean, my advice for anybody who is listening to this is somebody who's just been here for a very long time and no one knows who I am and no one hopefully will ever know who I am, is that understand how these things work as much as your capacity can and use them as much as your capacity can allow you to, because you'll be in a place where you can make decisions that might affect you and the people around you in a way that, wouldn't happen otherwise. So that's my leaving advice.
Definitely great stuff. And thanks so much for the call. Give us a call anytime.
Thank you, man. Bye.
Thank you. And you can call us now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word, or on the phone at 518-600-1949. And he's really right. This is information that can change your life, change your family. And it's technology that you can learn about, and you can learn by doing. You can get down there and get $10 worth of Bitcoin, and you can send $1 to this account and $1 to a charity, and $1 you could send to the wrong address and lose it completely. And you could do all kinds of things to experiment with this. And then if you do end up investing, or if you try to, and this is not investment advice, as all the disclaimers say, but if you make your decision to go in or out, this is a risky investment, and risky investments can pay off and give you a lot of money and wealth for your family, or they can blow up in your face. That's why you're risking it. That's the point of it. If you wanted a traditional investment, you could invest in, IBM or Apple or whatever, traditional stocks, and it goes up 2% a year. It's never going to go up 5,000%, but presumably it's also never going to go down 5,000%. So when you take your money out of a traditional or a safer or a blue chip type investment and you put it in something crazy like Facebook stock or Bitcoin or whatever the new thing is, or some other crazy altcoin or whatever, you're taking that risk because you want those gains, but you're accepting the possibility of those losses. Sometimes you even get the gains and then you get the losses too. It's fun. But you can call us now at 518-600-1949. We're going to check out the chat, see if we can get the chat on. Used to have the best system. It would show you the toolbar when you went to the top of the screen, then it would hide it. And then they're like, nah, 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 take that out. Make it harder. Make it harder on the people. It's part of the new cruelty. One of the greatest lines from, and there's many great lines in Steve Martin's classic movie, LA Story, is Chevy Chase is talking to Patrick Stewart, and Patrick Stewart is the maitre d' of a fancy restaurant. I think it's called Le Idiot, Lidio, but it's clearly Le Idiot. And then Chevy says, "Why can't I have a nice table? Well, I'm a big star. I've got a big movie coming in. I should have a nice table." And Patrick Stewart says, "It's part of the new cruelty." Or I think Chevy Chase might say, Is this part of the new cruelty?" And I've always thought that yes, so many things. It's just part of the new cruelty. You had nice things before, and now it's part of the cruelty. But checking out the chat, we did a major reading on the beginning of the show. I read 3 clips from 3 different books. 2 of them I even think connected together quite well. So check that out back on the beginning of the show. Shout out to AR Ferguson in the chat. He's hanging out down there. Jack Schrader. They say Andreas Antonopoulos is Bitcoin Jesus. But then he'd have to, come back from the dead on the 3rd day, right? Seems like a lot of work. Also, being crucified. There's a lot of downsides to being Jesus. Remember, John Lennon said the Beatles were bigger than Jesus. And then what happened to John Lennon? Yeah, bad things. Let's see. What did I miss in the 12 minutes? Ah, yes. I know it in my knower. I know it in my knower. Not enough viewers for a bull run. Trade analysis is as accurate as reading tea leaves. And I saw someone on Twitter said recently, they said, "I believe Bitcoin is in a cycle, and I'm more interested in the cycles than the technical analysis." So he believed it was going up. Chevy's in a small scene in LA Story. Steve Martin's the star. No doubt, though. Small scene with Chevy. Let's see. They don't like Rhett Creighton on the Bitcoin group. I like Rhett. I know you guys are all down. He was involved in Bitcoin Private or Zcash or one of those things. I remember historically, Zcash came out with the Founders Reward. They get paid every couple of blocks. Sweet deal for them. Not so great for everyone else. And Rhett famously forked Zcash into Z Classic, removing the Founders Reward. Then there was some kind of hullaboo with Bitcoin Private or some kind of thing. I don't know. But I know Rhett from a long way back. And right now, I don't have that many people that will go on shows. A lot of people prefer to go on their own shows and try to make money and so on and so forth, rather than giving out free information and not talking about the price all the time. So we got to take what we've got. And when people are volunteering their time to give you their opinion on crypto, I think it's pretty good. We used to have Bryce Weiner on the Bitcoin group a long time ago. I don't know, 4 or 5 scams before. You'd have to unravel the butterfly. But it was great because he was a foil, because he would say the opposite things. He would say different things. He would challenge the group. He would disagree. So I kind of like that too. If we could have people that we disagree with on shows, so we can hear from them, we can learn from them. So yeah, no, I just try to keep the shows. It's really hard to keep the shows going in the bear market at all, let alone with guests and stuff like that. So I understand people, voicing their opinions and stuff, and I try to not take it personally. But just remember, we're working hard to make you shows, and we need all the guests we can get. And if Rhett has time to hang out, that's cool. We used to have Andreas Antonopoulos on the show all the time. It doesn't seem like he has time for us. People in the chat say they want Christoph Atlas. I love Christoph. I thought he was great, especially on the shows, and I loved his dark news. But the way that story went was he got a job at blockchain.info, which I think is a pretty cool company sometimes. They're a Bitcoin company, though. Respect. At least they used to be. And I saw him once since then, and not that much. So hello, caller. You're live on the World Crypto Network. What's your name and where are you calling from?
Hi, Thomas. It's Jeremy from Montreal, Canada. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. What's on your mind about Bitcoin today, Jeremy?
So I have a few things on my mind. The first one on my mind is I wanted to hear what you thought about Venezuela having these blackouts. So how are these Venezuela Bitcoin users managing without electricity? Because that seems to be an Achilles heel. Obviously, if you don't have electricity, or if you don't have internet, then I guess you can't use the internet of money.
Definitely not. And I saw some local Bitcoins charts from Venezuela. I don't have them handy right now. But yeah, they had a big dip in the usage when the power went out.
Well, maybe they have a huge dip in volume. I'm not sure in price how much that affects it, because you still keep, I mean, assuming you keep your private keys, you're in charge of your own money. I mean, nothing's happening to the money, just you can't really, you don't have the velocity of money as the Keynesians like to talk about. You kind of lose that. You only keep the store of value. It'll still be valuable, but a little bit, you're going to have to wait for the blackout to go away and return things to normal.
Especially in Venezuela, they have a bit of a premium too, where they've driven the price of Bitcoin above other prices. So that probably is going to go away during the blackout. You're not going to get premium price.
I wonder though, technically speaking, right? If it becomes, if you tax, meaning you make it difficult for people to use Bitcoin. So by having a blackout, that's a tax on being able to do it. It's a burden. You make it a little more burdensome. Are the people in Venezuela going to start using their toilet paper money more often? Like the guys are going to go to the grocery stores with the pounds and pounds of paper notes. Technically speaking, economically speaking, during the blackout, that's what those people would have to do. The guy that's the big Bitcoin expert that was planning on purchasing things using Bitcoin, he's kind of screwed right now, and he might have to use some of the paper money.
Oh, definitely, it's a possibility. You also want to be stockpiling in this situation. Presumably, if you have food or water, maybe you can survive the blackout without having to spend. That could be things. Sorry, I'm getting an echo. I just mute this for a second. But yeah, I don't know what they do. I think another good point. Fiat currency, at least these days, it's mainly credit cards and debit cards for us. So those wouldn't work during a blackout as well. We'd also have trouble just taking normal fiat, because where are you going to take it? Where are you going to put it? All the different chains. But once again, we've never said that Bitcoin would be great during these bad situations or during a nuclear war or so on and so forth. But if there was a breakdown of government, having this non-government currency might rise to the top. What do you think about that? Go ahead.
No, yeah, I think I mean that there's limits to the hyper Bitcoinization. Like people say that it'll take over all sorts of government currencies, and there's other people that say what it means is there's going to be a reduced role to play by government printers of money. There's maybe even a little bit of a middle road. I think Andreas has spoken about this, where it makes let's say the Federal Reserve is thinking about inflating the money supply, and Bitcoin is reaching hyper Bitcoinization. Everybody's using it. It's the next big thing. Everybody's talking about it. The price is skyrocketing, and everybody knows the properties of Bitcoin. The limited amount, etc. Those same people at the Federal Reserve, or whoever would be inflating the supply of regular fiat, they might just change their ways. It might be telling them, well, in 2008 during the housing crisis, I was prepared to do quantitative easing, print trillions of dollars, but if I do that now, the entire currency is going to collapse. Everybody will be up in arms against us. So we now need to be better actors, because Bitcoin is a backup. So once we know that we don't have the monopoly anymore, maybe all of a sudden people, these dollar printers start printing less and less. They manage their money better and better. They might even want to copy certain traits of Bitcoin. Imagine the day when the Federal Reserve comes out, because they're forced to, comes out with some kind of a statement of, we'll only print 1% more money to the supply maximum per year, no matter what. Constitutional amendment, we're getting this out there because we have no choice. If we don't, if we want to have some kind of control over the money, if we want to, I don't know, they want to have a central clearinghouse where it all goes through them, where they get to see all the actors, see all the transactions. They house the blockchain in various banks and stuff like that of their own coin, of their own stable coin. then that's what it could be. But at least all the, the rules for the inflating the supply and stealing from people's pockets from inflation would be much lessened. So the long answer is that maybe that's the type of future that I see more likely. Won't happen immediately, because I don't think those people are going to change their minds right away. I think they're going to get the rug pulled out from under them as the more likely scenario, or they're going to just run it off a cliff eventually, the economy. But if a few people are smart, and maybe there's a gradual rather than a hyper Bitcoinization, eventually they'll be like, we can't act as usual. We can't do what we've always been doing before. And so there will be a role, in my opinion, for some of the paper money, for some of the Visa and MasterCard or banking. It'll still be out there, but it'll be out there because of Bitcoin made it a little bit more secure over time.
I definitely think that's a romantic and a beautiful vision, and it would be great if it did happen. Sorry, I'm going to mute you for a sec, but great if it did happen, but I'm not so sure. I think it's more of the lines that you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and if you knew how to print money and that was your solution to everything, it's like a hammer. You just have to keep hammering things. So I also think not so much as just a tradition or something that you're into. It's also a bit like an addiction. I think they're addicted to printing money and they can't stop. So I don't think, even if you had someone nearby you, setting a good example, or someone nearby you setting a bad example, printing even more money, so on and so forth, I think you'd still come back to that at the end of the day. It's time to print it. What I found most interesting, and one of the reasons I got into Bitcoin in 2013, was I saw the Cyprus incident in April 2013. I don't think the Cypriot people had access to Bitcoin, but it suddenly got into everyone's idea that if they did, they could use it as a hedge, and that you're no longer stuck with your local currency. You could hedge, you could get into something else. And in Venezuela, I think we're actually seeing a test example of the Cyprus 2013 exhibit, but it's actually happening, right? The Venezuelan people have Bitcoin, or at least they did before the blackout. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. There are these international cases where a country, they get some. I don't know if it was in Cyprus or in Greece. I don't remember which of the countries, but one of them had some of their bank account money that was. I think they called it a haircut. Everybody lost a certain percentage. If you had money in the bank, they took it out.
Yep, 10% right off the top. That's a haircut.
Yeah, I'm sure that's one way to help pay off your debts. But what we're seeing here, what we're seeing here in Venezuela is another example. As time goes on, country after country come to certain financial crises for whatever reasons, for different reasons. You have Zimbabwe printing money, and in the past, and now you have it in Venezuela. I think you have Argentina's having major inflation, and Iran even. Various countries have it, and for their own reasons. And each time it seems to be happening, Bitcoin's more mature. The code is getting better and upgraded and scaling slowly. But I'm a little bit hesitant. I don't see grandma. I don't know if grandma needs to be a joiner into Bitcoin yet. Maybe she'll be the last one coming on. But I don't see grandma in Venezuela when she hears about the hyperinflation. I don't know if they're all switching to Bitcoin. If it was such an amazing alternative, wouldn't the entirety of the country say enough already? We're sick of losing the value of our money. Let's all switch over to it. Like, I understand that it's doing well and it's doing excellent in that country. The local Bitcoins, they have tons of transactions, the exchanges, whatever. It's doing really well, especially even in the bear market compared to the way the inflation is going from the main currency over there. They constantly have to drop zeros from their exchange rates as they print new bills and make new bolivars. But I'm a little bit nervous, actually, that even with all this crisis, where it's slowly happening in Venezuela over years, I don't know if this. Why isn't hyper? How about I'll ask it as a question? Why isn't hyper Bitcoinization taking place to, I don't know, 90% of the populace in Venezuela? Shouldn't 90% of the populace be strictly using Bitcoin at this point? What more do they need to know?
Well, right now we don't have that much information on who's actually using the Bitcoin in Venezuela. We know that the local Bitcoin volumes are way up, but if I had to guess without any information, I would say it's likely richer people, more connected people, more affluent people buying Bitcoin with larger amounts of money than, say, the peasants have. I don't know the actual transactional statistics or if normal people on the ground are using Bitcoin. So that's one reason why we might not see hyper Bitcoinization or we might not see anything like that. Also, Venezuela is way too small to drive the entire worldwide price of Bitcoin up. I think we're way too early in that. A lot of people, and I mean banks, still don't believe in it. A lot of the mass audience isn't there yet for that kind of viral Bitcoin madness all over the globe just sparking off. I think we're getting closer to that. I think the banks had a little taste of it this last time, and they're looking at it and they're thinking about if there's going to be a next time and if they're going to get into it. But as far as grandma or even grandma in Venezuela using crypto, uh, it's not the nicest thing to say, but if you look at a lot of these things with the early adopters and the late adopters and how changes go on, sometimes you just need time. And time allows us to just pick up the whole bracket and move it. We used to have a thing in America about gay marriage. I think it was 2004. The George W. Bush campaign was highly focused on outlawing gay marriage and keeping it illegal. 10 years later, 15 years later, pretty much everybody's for gay marriage. It's a settled issue. It's done. It's gone. What happened? How did it change so quickly? Did a bunch of people who hate gay marriage suddenly decide they like it? I'm afraid not. I'm afraid that the bracket just moved and that just sadly a lot of the previous generation, the greatest generation, left us. And the younger generations don't care or see people as equals and have that kind of attitude, the younger attitudes. We're seeing the same thing with drugs. A few years ago, the level of marijuana legalization that we have would be insane because a lot of those people, again, greatest generation, baby boomers, they worked in drug enforcement. That was their job. They're essentially cold warriors. They're that Japanese guy in World War II who's still on the island. They're still fighting the war. And yes, I wish they would change their mind and we could show them evidence about the drug war, evidence about gay marriage, or evidence about Bitcoin and think that it could change their mind. But a lot of people, you can't change their mind with evidence. They're not evidence based, or they've just been ingrained and just trained. And, if you're a drug warrior, if you work for the DA or whatever, you made all these busts. You're not just going to suddenly give up and say, I guess we should legalize marijuana. You busted people for it. You burnt it in giant piles. It's not a medicine to you. So the same thing with Bitcoin and grandma. Some will learn and some will rise above, and respect to those. Personally, I'm getting older and I hope to stay young, but it's already happened. The kids play their crazy music and their Fortnite and all these things, and I don't understand them. Bitcoin's probably just going to be one of those things. Go ahead, caller. I'll unmute you again. Sorry about the echo. Go ahead.
No problem. What I'm hearing from you is that it'll take time for people to change their views. It's a slow process, similar to how social issues change. And I think you're right. I think that's a strong component. But what's interesting is how you can look at other technologies and you could see those adoption curves and stuff like that. How even grandma now has email. Eventually, grandma gets email. Or maybe eventually grandma gets a smartphone too. So it is hopeful. I don't know how long of a time period it really takes. Is it 10 years? Is it more from maybe grandma hearing about it for the first time, maybe in 2017? So maybe by 2027, even grandma might be using it. But the idea that a crisis such as in Venezuela would be sufficient to have a proof of use case, the hedge against inflation, where those guys are successful, and then they're shown all over the news how this person saved a little bit of his money, and everybody else in the village has nothing, and they're all in debt. And this one guy, saved all of his life savings, and he talks it up as a wonderful thing, and people learn about it. I think the crisis is help, and they could help push markets and stuff a bit. If there's a big crisis, all of a sudden you hear about Greek banks doing shenanigans again. you might see the money, the value of Bitcoin on the markets today. You might see that moving again some more. I wanted to talk, if I may, about another item. Since I'm here in Canada, and I saw this questionnaire going around from the Canada Revenue Agency. So they kind of want to know all about people's crypto holdings. I'm assuming you've seen this.
No, I haven't heard about it. Is it like a questionnaire? How detailed is it?
Okay, so I have it up on my screen, and if I may, I'll read a little bit from it. It was going around on Twitter. I'm sure with a little search you can search it out. So apparently, the Canada Revenue Agency, like the IRS, they selected a bunch of people that they feel are involved in cryptocurrency, and they're not, or in Bitcoin, and they want to get more information. So it's not. I don't know how many people received it, but apparently it's a relatively limited number of people that it went out to. And it's a 20-page document where I've only seen 2 pages of it because that's what somebody posted online. So I'll go over just some of the reason I wanted to go over this a little bit with you is so that you can get a taste, especially if you say you haven't seen it yet, a taste of what maybe the government might be asking of you guys in the future. What if the IRS sent you such a thing? How would you answer it? So the title is In-Depth Cryptocurrency Initial Interview Questionnaire. And then it goes on, it says, general questions with regards to cryptocurrency. Number 1, when did you start getting involved in the cryptocurrency space, and how did you get involved? And then they leave like a tiny little box for some room. I don't know why the government necessarily needs to know that, but
I like it. It reminds me of the U.S. They always used to say, have you or have you always been a communist?
Yeah, very. But again, this isn't going out to everybody, assuming they targeted somehow. Maybe they got, maybe there was an exchange that they asked them for their information and they gave up their information of who's trading on it. And then, they
were just going around looking at your YouTube comments, seeing who's out there.
Yeah, maybe. Let me go to here. Question number 2. Do you invest in cryptocurrencies, trade cryptocurrencies, or mine cryptocurrencies? Are you involved in this space in any other way, i.e. advisor, teacher, cryptocurrency ATM service provider, selling hash power, running an exchange, part of a mining pool, or any other business venture related to the space? So that's question number 2. Question number 3, do you use any cryptocurrency mixing services and tumblers? If so, which services do you use? Can you please provide us with the tracing history along with all the cryptocurrency addresses you mixed? Why do you use these services? So question number 3 is also kind of leading, a little bit pushy over there. Question number 4, do you use Shapeshift Exchange or Changely? If so, please provide us with the cryptocurrency addresses you've used to trade with, along with the dates you made these particular swap trades.
Hi-oh, that's a brand mention. I wonder if they have to pay for that.
Yeah, the government. What also I thought is interesting, in the response section, they write the letter T/P. I'm thinking toilet paper, but T/P, I'm assuming typed or I actually don't know what it means. What do you think? Typed or printed?
Typed or printed, but it's very strange. Yes.
Yeah, it's a strange way because it's only these questions that I found on Twitter are only 2 pages. So there's like a little column, as if like imagine you got like an exam in school and you had to fill it in. They're leaving you room for like 1 sentence each. So if they're asking for all of your trade history and all of the addresses you've used to write it out by hand on this document, it would not fit. So
going back to the basis of this document, is this legally binding?
That I don't know. I think it'd be a wonderful thing for you to look into, put that on, when you do the Bitcoin talk show or something else, or look it up. My understand, I don't know. Usually, if you get something from the tax man that's asking you about your holdings, you have to take it very seriously. The people that might say, "Screw off! Why am I giving you this information if the code, the federal code, doesn't require it?" I don't know. Maybe it does require it. That's an important thing to look into. I didn't receive one of these, but It'd be interesting to hear from somebody that did. Maybe what's his name? Francis Pouliot, is that his name?
Yep.
Maybe he received one. You could ask him about it.
Yeah, I would definitely contact your attorney or tax professional. This is it's a pretty creepy note there from the Canadians, requiring that much information. Also, it's really clear what they're going after. They're focused on shapeshift. They're focused on coin join. Certainly, if you answered in there information that incriminated yourself, and then later on you didn't report those transactions when they changed the law, which again, remember, we do have at least in America, we have laws about ex post facto, laws that take effect after the fact. Other places, I'm not so sure. And I'm also thinking sometimes tax laws, business law, thing like that can be ex post facto. So they can say you didn't owe this tax, but now you owe this tax, things like that. So it's a super creepy form. I'm glad you didn't get one. Did it say what you have to do to get one? Is it like a certain amount of money or something like that?
I don't know what the red flag is that caused it. It doesn't have that listed here. So far, I've been reading from the questions as they appear on these particular 2 pages. But if it's a 20-page, I'd be curious to look it up, what the entire 20-page document looked like. I don't think it was all filled with questions. I think a lot of it might have been filled with like information for the person, maybe warning them that when you use an exchange, make sure you keep all of your history. Or I'm not too sure. Maybe it warns people about money laundering or stuff like that. I'm not too sure.
It's funny, and it's no fault of my own, but a lot of the exchanges that I used to use have gone out of business and completely disappeared. So I don't even remember what I might have done or what I did, all those kind of things. They are saying in the article here from Bitcoin Magazine that in addition to subjecting cryptocurrency investors to audits, many of these same users have been sent comprehensive questionnaires. So it sounds like if you got audited, you also got a questionnaire. So double duty, double punishment for those people.
Yeah. Yes. But you know what? Do they ask the same questions to people with cash? Like, let's say you were a few things. Let's say number one. Let's say you're a person that uses Bitcoin exclusively. You know, you're trying to go off the grid. All you want to do, but everything legally. When you just want to use Bitcoin technology, and that's what you want to spend on a day-to-day basis. So now that would mean that the entire transactions, every single transaction for your entire year, the government would want to get a hold of. They'd want to know why you're doing it, what you're doing, every single thing from the Starbucks coffee to whatever it may be. I think that's a bit onerous for those people that want to do that. But the other side of the coin is, let's say they were to ask the same questions but related to cash. Please list all of your transactions that you've done in cash, be they $5, $1, $1,000. What did you buy this year? And list it all. Please attach it. We're curious to know. We'd like to know. Please be as detailed as possible with your timeline. I think that's a bit much. There's a few more questions, if I may. So the next question is, can you tell us about all the cryptocurrencies that you own? Provide us with a timeline of when you made each purchase from fiat to crypto. That's another interesting one.
I'd like to know that too.
They're putting a burden on people who's able to monitor all this. It's not necessarily the same thing like stocks, where maybe the financial institution is monitoring it and preparing you all sorts of documents at year end. If people are using this like a currency and they're buying things and this and that, it's hard to monitor what every single address was used for. Next one is, where did you purchase these cryptocurrencies? If exchanges, which ones? Did you purchase Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies privately from individuals? If so, how? So now they're basically also putting you online of, if you have a friend that has some and you bought some from them, we need to know that. Who did you buy it from? Who did you get it from? This individual. That individual did nothing wrong. You know, you bought some off them perhaps. And, say, hey, buddy, you're in this thing called Bitcoin. Yeah. Hey, here's $100. Can I have $100? You send it to my wallet? Sure. Now you're reporting it to the government. If so, how did you become aware of these individuals that they were willing to buy or sell cryptocurrencies? How were these transactions facilitated? Location, procedure followed, etc. So in that case, it was my friend Jim. I went to his house located wherever. The procedure was I gave him $100 and he sent me the Bitcoin. Is that really the information that I mean, obviously they're looking probably for strangers. If you met a stranger on the street, you met using local Bitcoins or something. But again,
Well, I totally agree. It's like, have you ever borrowed $20 from a friend? Did you pay him back immediately? How did you pay him back? Did you use euros instead of dollars? Did you pay him back within the week? Was there interest? Yes, it's totally onerous, but it's also not going to stop. And it's what happens with a new thing like this. I think what we really want to hope for here, and this is again horrible, horrible thing to hope for, but that you hope this will be like the Ethereum, right? When the Ethereum started out, we all said it was not a great thing and they should maybe be regulated. And they're like, it's too small to regulate. And then the Ethereum got out of control and now it's everywhere and it's out of control. And they're like, oh, it's too big to regulate. Everyone's doing it. So sadly, the only answer to this kind of madness may be more madness. We need more people to use Bitcoin like a currency, more people to just spend it rampantly and freely and without tracking. Where did I spend my $20 yesterday? I have no idea. It's gone. The coffee shop, the donut shop, the movie theater, wherever I went, that money's gone. But you need to have receipts for all of it. Yeah, I think the nightmare is coming. I think it's coming true. It's coming soon. Right now, it's only Canada, but it might be the U.S. soon. What do you think?
I think stupid regulations and stupid laws are going to be coming down the pike. I wish I remembered the example. There was something in Australia that I just recently heard about where they came up with some kind of a law, and the tech. I was listening to something on YouTube about a tech person, and the tech person's maybe it was related to copyright. I'm not sure, unfortunately, I don't remember. But the tech person was like, whatever law that they put into place, it's the stupidest law because nobody can follow this particular law. It goes too far. And it's just a mentality that once you're a regulator, and eventually, like the idea was that it's going to bite you in the ass, and Australia is going to have to reverse whatever that particular ruling is, and it's going to make the legislators look dumb. But in this situation and in similar situations, the regulators are thinking, oh, we got to do something about it. How are we going? We're in charge of taxes. At least this isn't even the legislators, right? These are the taxmen. They have to do something about it, so they send out these questionnaires. This is their first real step forward into this brave new world, and they're trying to use their old methods of I don't know, tell us everything about your business transactions, and then we'll invoice you accordingly. And then there are two more items in here. Do you store your cryptocurrencies on wallets other than custodial wallets, i.e. third-party exchange wallets? If so, please provide us with a list of all of the addresses you control, and that's underlined and bolded, and use. Well, yeah, what if you have a complicated situation? What if you're, using that new stuff, is it called Taproot, where people use like these Merkle trees to have multi-sigs, and it could be two of 3, or four of 7, or whatever it is, where you don't know how many, where you're partially controlling and stuff like that. I don't know if they really care about that. They're not that sophisticated yet, but those sorts of things are going to also be coming around. And then they highlight this. At least they're good actors. They write, note: do not give private keys and/or paper wallets showing both addresses and private keys. So that's they're looking out for you, right? That would be a big scandal. Somebody sends their private keys to the government, and then the government steals their money. That would be a reverse scandal, right? You'd be like, oh, but they wanted all of my information, so I was handing it over. I didn't know the government would steal from me.
Well, and they image all those documents. So there's so many different levels where anyone that sees the private key, the first one who sees it, the 10th one who sees it, they could all be the one who stole it. Yeah, it sounds pretty horrifying, but they definitely want all your information. They want it all.
Yep. Sorry, last one though. How do you fund your cryptocurrency exchange accounts? Bank account, credit card, flex pin, or another way? Moreover, to use the same bank accounts, credit cards, or other way described above to transfer cryptocurrency holdings back into fiat? If not, which other accounts, credit cards do you use? Now that sounds like a trap. They're going to find out who you bank with and try to pressure them. You're going to write to them, oh, I use this exchange, and I use this bank and this credit card. And I feel like they're going to go after those companies and say, all right, guys, we see that all of these questionnaires came back, and it looks like they're all using they're all using Visa, they're all using whatever. Now you got to stop that. We don't want people buying crypto anymore.
Well, let's give them just a little bit more credit on this, because it did say it was only going out to people who are being audited. So if you are being audited, this seems kind of the first investigative step where you're going to say, okay, well, tell us the size of the problem. What do you have here? What do you have there? Where have you been moving it? Does anyone else have access to it? I mean, it's a pretty straightforward audit. Again, I think that the problem is we're confusing this a bit with something that would be sent out to normal people, or that would be sent out at random, or at the absolute libertarian nightmare, sent out to everyone and absolutely compulsory. If you don't fill out your form, you don't get your tax return, something like that. But it's not impossible to think of a future where that might happen. And this is one of the first steps, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. It's something I think we should be aware of, because maybe you say, oh, it's only in Canada, or it's only a few people. But first they come for, I don't remember that saying. First they come for what, your neighbor, then they come for the other neighbor, and then you think, okay, it's not me, and then they come for you. So if you don't have your eyes open as to how they're treating people that are in this space, that they're being treated fairly, and that the rules are being applied appropriately, eventually that rule is going to encompass you with something similar, and you'll be in trouble too. You're going to have to be providing all sorts of documents to the government.
Well, get ready. It sounds like an exciting future. So thanks so much for the call, and thanks for sharing what's been going on in Canada. It sounds great.
All right, thanks. Have a good day.
All right. And you can give us a call now on, oops, still echoing. You can give us a call now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word, or at 518-600-1949. Try to have headphones if you can, or turn your speakers down, and we'll have less echo. Like he was saying about Canada here, I went ahead and pulled up from the Wikipedia article about McCarthyism, about the House Un-American Activities Commission, sorry. And the committee began to subpoena screenwriters, directors, and other movie industry professionals to testify about their known or suspected membership in the Communist Party, association with its members, or support of its beliefs. At these testimonies, what became known as the $64,000 question was asked: are you now, or have you ever been, a member of the Communist Party of the United States? It doesn't seem like we're that far away from, are you now, or have you ever been a Bitcoiner? So hold on to that. We'll keep an eye on that. Remember, it's not as bad as them just sending it to everyone in Canada. It's people that were being audited, so that it is presumably, if you made millions of dollars and tried to not pay taxes, they're going to ask you a bunch of nasty questions about your Bitcoin. Presumably, if you made a couple $100 and tried your best to pay taxes on it, they're not going to ask you a bunch of nasty questions. But once again, look how smart the government's getting. They know the questions to ask. They know all about Shapeshift and Changelly and coin joins, and they know about addresses, and they want to watch your addresses. So the governments are getting very sophisticated. Congratulations to them. Shout out. Great work. Hardworking government. But maybe it's just like the Roadrunner. They can't seem to catch him. They keep building all those little kits, and Acme keeps sending them new stuff, and they guarantee it's going to work. They guarantee it's going to work. And that darn Roadrunner just keeps getting away, because it's easier to run than it is to build traps and walls and other such nonsense. AR4 says Big Vern has my 2013 transactions. They say Canada has the best cash. They have plastic cash. Oh, they have some plastic cash in the UK now. They gave me a note. It had a transparent window in it. I could see through it. It was quite something. Jeremy says, renounce your citizenship before it gets bad. But you still have to be a citizen somewhere. And we aren't all like Roger Ver. We can't just buy citizenship with St. Kitts or whatever it is. Great one there. Abandoning the sinking ship. Rolando says, I'm kind of glad about this. This just proves that the governments are scared. So that is definitely a reaction now. Remember, previously the governments used to do nothing about Bitcoin. They just said it was a joke and it wasn't interesting, that we're all idiots. And now they're like, what have those idiots been up to? You're doing coin joins. You're using multiple coins. You're using Changelly and Shapeshift. Oh, maybe these idiots are up to something after all. But you're never going to find them. Like they say, Jeremy says, if the government knows how many coins you have, you could become a target. Remember, these were sent out to people who are already being audited. So they're already targets. But that's what the tax system is. It really does make you a well, it's hard to look at it any other way. You're kind of owned by the government. You have to pay them the taxes. If you don't pay them the taxes, then they get mad. You're born into this. You don't have any other choice. You're also born into the benefits that you get from the government if you're in a nicer, more affluent country like the United States, or you're born into the benefits that you don't get from the government if you're born into a less affluent place. So there's a lot of ups and a lot of downs. Canada wants to know if you ever bought hockey equipment with Bitcoin. They're serious about it. And Changing Times, Huxley, Orwell, Gibson. Maybe all those books were just real. I don't know. I don't know if they were scientific fiction or not. They say, my socialist utopia is almost complete in Canada. Well, it is nice to have healthcare, I think. That's a nice one. Although I think if you really want to go socialist utopia, I've heard in Germany they have free college and you have the right to a house. It's pretty interesting stuff. Remember, they're running this big campaign right now, make everyone afraid of socialism. But we already have socialism here in America. We have Social Security, we have welfare, we have the tax system. It's a regressive tax system. The benefits go to more people. So socialism is a very American thing. And they're trying to separate it now, and they're trying to make it into communism and a boogeyman and all these kind of things. And I don't know if they're going to be successful. I don't know how stupid people are if they read the history from the 20s and Woody Guthrie and the unions and all the kind of things that happened. But it's up to you. I'm not so sure about Canada. I hear that it's mighty cold. It's mighty cold. Starduster says we could all go to St. Kitts and the Grenadines. Maybe we could have some nice umbrella drinks and sit on the beach. I don't know why Roger doesn't do that. If I see him again, I'll be like, Roger, why do you get involved with all this Bcash nonsense when you could just be sitting on a beach? If I was some kind of Bitcoin billionaire, I wouldn't be flipping off Bitcoin error log on some YouTube channel fighting over Bcash. It's pretty ridiculous. I mean, I know he means well. He wants the world to have digital money. I think he wants the world to have sound money. He's a libertarian, but that doesn't mean those aren't the same things. But no, I don't know what happened to old Roger. A lot of people speculate that maybe he never had that much money. Maybe he lost his money. Maybe he was being blackmailed. I don't know. But he certainly went all the way over. Used to be Bitcoin Jesus. Now he's arguing against the deletion of Coinbase. So we've still got 100 people watching. I'm going to try to keep the show going for a little bit longer. We've got 48 likes. If we get 2 more likes, that would put us over 50. I remember our goal for likes is always 100. We got 100 likes on the Bitcoin group last week. It was really cool. We got 1,000 views for our 100 likes. So if you want to chat with us about any of these topics today, you can go ahead and call in now on Skype at World Crypto Network, all one word, or at 518-600-1949. That's 1-518-600-1949. Because we're in America, it's number 1 because, Graham Bell invented the phone here. But a quick recap of today's stories. Bitcoin Jesus, don't delete Coinbase. No other firm does more for crypto. And I think it's telling in this headline that they use the word crypto, not the word Bitcoin. Coinbase used to do a lot of things for Bitcoin. Now they do a lot of things for crypto. Samsung Pay will integrate cryptocurrencies for 10 million users, but not Bitcoin yet. Mark Zuckerberg discovers privacy. It's always been there, Mark. Your company's been the one destroying it. So it's hilarious for him to try to turn it around now and try to turn Facebook around. Like this guy says here in Fortune, let us pay for Facebook with dollars, not data. And that's always been the way, but it never would have grown into the viral thing it was if you had to pay. That's the thing. The advertisers had to build it because they wanted to build it faster. The FBI has nabbed OneCoin ringleader at LAX, but they still didn't get Dr. Ruja. They got her brother. Let's see. Alleged ringleader Konstantin Ignatov. Dr. Ruja Ignatov still unavailable. We talked about the price, the price, the price, the price, and the price. That's what the mainstream media likes to talk about. Omkar Godbol, who still doesn't own any Bitcoin or anything. Sad. He's just going to sit on the sidelines this time. Says a Bitcoin bull market is still $350 away. We need a break above the Christmas Day lower high of 4,236 to confirm a bearish to bullish trend change. Squares being highlighted in a Bitcoin blockchain ETF on the London stock market. That sounds good. It's the 6th day of stability. You know what happens then? Bitcoin rested. Paying for your coffee with Bitcoin at Starbucks. Is it worth it? Well, you could pay for your coffee with euros. Is it worth it? It's a ridiculous article. People need to understand if you buy $50 worth of coffee, you can rebuy your $50 worth of Bitcoin when you get home. Think of your Bitcoin spending account like always keep $100 in there. I have $100 I use to spend Bitcoin because I like to try it out. And when it goes down, I just rebuy it. It's really simple. You don't have to go through this. Oh, I spent a 0.1 on coffee and oh, I'm so sad I spent that 0.1. And if you do, you still spent it. You got value for it. You got something for it. People are so whiny. They're trying to maximize. You can't maximize everything. You're always going to end up spending something that you would have rather saved. It just keeps happening. But that's why Bitcoin's so great. It teaches you to save. Here it is, teaching you to save, teaching you maybe you shouldn't buy coffee at Starbucks. Maybe you should make it at home. Save money. Bring it with you. Taking long positions in Bitcoin is comfortable, says a former BOA trader. And I just love the stock image that they got for this at whatever this is, newsbtc.com. It's a woman and she's got a great looking blanket on and a warm sweater, and she even put a sweater around her teacup. That's how comfortable she is in her long position in Bitcoin. And the crypto market citing a bullish break. But they always say this. I'm short-term bullish and long-term bearish, or I'm long-term bullish and short-term bearish. It's raining and it's sunny. How does that happen? Shout out to Gab. They've got a new product called Dissenter. It's been done many times before, putting comments on web pages. We'll see if they can manage to decentralize it, to distribute it, to get themselves out of the way. Because as we all know, free speech brings us wonderful things. Declaration of Independence, great thoughts, philosophy. Free speech also brings us terrible things, hate speech, anger, madness, trolling, 4chan, all these things, which I'm fine with, but I'm saying it brings us both. So you don't want to be the one that owns the free speech platform. You want to have that distributed. We talked about Star Wars Land at Disneyland. You can build your own lightsaber. Price not clear yet. You can go inside the Millennium Falcon. Ooh. And of course, you can drink at the Star Wars Cantina bar. It sounds great. I can't wait. I'm probably going to wait because it's going to be crazy crowded. But then I thought about it and I was like, when is this thing not going to be crazy crowded? It's going to be crazy crowded forever. Like, no one's going to get tired of Star Wars. I don't think. Even with the new movies being terrible. And there's only 3 Star Wars movies. There's the originals. They've never been edited or updated. Just the 3. Original trilogy, maximalist. We talked about the possibility of turning coal miners into coders. It's not going to work. Even the best coders will be outpaced by AI. We need to prepare for the future by shifting how we think about human value. And again, I'm supporting the Andrew Yang campaign to give everyone in America universal basic income, the freedom dividend, $1,000 a month. And one of the things they're saying about this is this might change the way that we see money, because currently we have this ability, this view that things are scarce and that we are limited, when actually things are abundant and there's lots of stuff. And if we had this kind of floor for people, especially people like cashiers and truck drivers, who through no fault of their own are going to be brutally wiped out by automation, and they're not going to see the 100,000% gains in productivity that the companies are going to see. If America is prosperous, why shouldn't the American people be prosperous? So check out yang2020.com. Watch Andrew Yang on the Joe Rogan show, and watch it even if you disagree with it. Even if you disagree with it, explore this idea, because there is something here. Automation is real. The catastrophe that's going to happen when these people are unleashed and they are jobless is real. If we give them money, they will spend it. I think it would be a good thing. I think it's about the math, but you can check that out. We talked about the U.S. citizens needing a visa to visit Europe in 2021. That's a bummer. You can apply 4 days before at $7.50, the visa for 3 years, and you can go to the Schengen zone. I think I said it right. Schengen is a guy's name. It's not a Japanese word. I always think of it as like Shenzhen, because that's a place in China or somewhere like that. Apologies if I'm messing everything up. We talked about the sharing economy always being a scam, and that maybe blockchain is going to be the same way. It started out that we were always going to share everyone's car, and we were going to share a ride here, and we were going to share this and that. But pretty soon we started to rent everything. Giant companies like Uber and Lyft became unicorns, billionaires, all off of our sharing. So the sharing economy did not work the way that we wanted it to. Uh, it did not work. And then maybe the blockchain will be the same way. The author even mentions it in the article. It's cool stuff. At one point, I talked about business cards on Twitter. We had a poll. Everyone likes normal size business cards. They're not too crazy about rounded edges, minis, or square, which is great because all of those cost more. So I saved some money there. We talked about collectors with a Z.com. If anybody's looking for an app to track their video games, movies, music, DVDs, Blu-rays, comic books, real books, all those kind of things, you can scan the barcodes, have your own little database of stuff. This is something I've always wanted. I even built one myself out of PHP and MySQL back in the day. This one's really nice and saved me a lot of time not having to write it myself. I could just get straight to using it. It's pretty cool. There it is. You can see that's what the catalog of your movies, books, comics, and games is like. It's $15 a piece for the apps, or you can get a bundle deal at their website if you're going to buy them all. So, but I think that's about it for Bitcoin Talk Show. I'm going to check in with the chat, see what you guys are up to. Again, we're talking about basic income, all these kind of things. Again, I'm not going to answer every single offshoot. Like Jeremy says, how will they give UBI if there are no more dollars? And I agree. If the economy is totally broken and there's no economy, you're going to have a hard time doing basic income. Just like if there's a nuclear war and there's no more power, we're going to have a hard time using Bitcoin. But with the immediate problem that we have right now, I want you guys to focus in and just talk about this problem. Automation is coming. Computers are better at driving cars than humans, right? Truck drivers, you're nice guys. It's not your fault. Pretty much going to be eliminated. It's going to start by babysitting the trucks. They've already got a solution for that. You can babysit the trucks from a facility. You can drive them remotely like a drone. So the computer can drive it through all the empty states. When you get to a place that's populated, you switch to a human who drives it the last mile. That's great. But again, less and less people involved working for truck driving industries. Same thing for cashiers, not so much a safety issue, more of just an efficiency issue. So, what are we going to do with all these unemployed truck drivers and unemployed cashiers? Now, Andrew Yang, I'm pretty much quoting here, he's like, $1,000 a month isn't going to help them, right? That much. It's going to help them a little. They're still going to need to get a job or something else to supplement that income. But it's going to stop them from completely hitting the bottom. So we have a choice right now with all these people. Are we going to just let them hit the bottom, which again doesn't just affect them, it affects the rest of us, right? It affects them when they ruin their lives, and then they ruin their friends' lives and their family, and they destroy other people, drunk driving, auto accidents, cars, guns, violence, all these kind of things ripple out into society. Or do we try to fix that by taxing the companies that will get 100,000% efficiency gains, using that money to give back to the people, that the people then would spend, because people who don't have money spend the money. We could give it to the rich too as well. Everyone in the country, top to bottom, gets 1,000 a month done. I think it's a good solution. When we talk about that specific problem of the automation and the truck drivers, the gains are going to go to the company. The truck drivers don't own stock in these companies. They're not going to benefit when they go automated. Same thing for the cashiers. So just look at that specific problem and try to get me a solution to that. And I think we'll talk about this more, and I want you guys to work on it and think about it, examine the Joe Rogan interview, all that kind of thing. But when we talk about the specific problem of automation and the solution of universal basic income, I don't see much else. So again, going back to Vonnegut, player piano, written in the 60s, they paid people to stay home to watch TV so that they wouldn't break the robots. Even if you don't have empathy, you don't see other people as worthwhile. You have to say, from a selfish perspective, when they break the robots, it's going to delay your Amazon deliveries. So it's better for you if the robots are not broken. It's better to pay these people than have them break the robots. And you can expand that in any direction you want to go. But I think that's an interesting way. Would I give up my Bitcoin for universal basic income? As I've said, I think we can tax the companies that will make 100,000% gains off of efficiency, off of this not having to hire truck drivers, not having to hire cashiers. That's going to be an incredible benefit for these companies and their efficiency, and that we could tax some of their benefits. That's how the current tax system works. Again, if you want to fight the current tax system, that's a different argument. I want to talk specifically the problem of automation. Do you have a better solution? And remember, this is happening within 5 years. Cars are unsafe. It's like having a heart attack. We can't have that happen anymore. It's going to be gone. So, all right. So again, shout out to everybody in the chat. Thanks for giving us a thumbs up and a share. Thanks to everybody who called in or donated, sent us a super chat. The solution is the free market, Jeremy says. Well, again, capitalism is a system of winners and losers, but there is still a human hand attempting to guide it. Part of the reason for creating the Fed was to have less booms and busts. I don't think it worked. A lot of people don't think it worked. But in general, they're trying to do good things. We're trying to improve the thing. We're trying to make it less harsh. Whether it works, sure, that's a debate. Whether we should, all those kind of things. But I think this is a good topic, something we're going to be talking about more and more. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you for giving us a thumbs up and a share. I'm pretty much out of ability to talk here, but thanks for calling in. We'll be back next Monday with another excellent episode of Bitcoin Talk Show that you can call in live. We'll be back on Wednesday with another proof of work interview as filmed at Tone Vei's Unconfiscatable Conference. Then we'll be back on Friday with the Bitcoin group, all right here on the World Crypto Network. We've also got Max doing the help videos. all kinds of great stuff, how to use Lightning, some advanced concepts in there. And we've got Ben from Wales doing some great Bitcoin IoT help videos. You can build a gumball machine that'll spit out Bitcoins. You can use a pinball machine that'll spit out Bitcoins. There's all kinds of great stuff right here on the World Crypto Network. Until next time, bye bye.